name is Tommy Gentile, Wella signature artist right here at the Wella studio in Los Angeles.
And I'm Michalske, Wella Professionals design team artist. And we're here to celebrate
Wella's 75th anniversary. So let's get it going.
Let's get it going.
All right, are you ready for your first question?
I'm definitely ready. Let's do it.
All right, so London, you always knew a creative career was kind of the only option for you. When you told your family you wanted to be a hairstylist, were they like instantly on board? Was there any hesitation? I know some people don't always like see the beauty of our industry, no pun intended.
No, I totally get it. So my dad was like indifferent. I think he just was happy that I was gonna make money and not like be asking him for money the whole time.
Fair.
My mom, however, was pretty disappointed. She always told me that I was too smart to be a hairstylist, which yeah, I know, right? And so she was like, no, you need to go to college, you need to go to college. And I had started going to college and dropped out. But like I wanted to work with my hands and I wanted to do something creative, and I sold her on it. And I was like, Mom, like beauty school is only a year in Florida. So once I graduate, I can still go back to college and then I can do hair to put myself through college instead of working at a bar. And so then she was like, okay, I'm on board. And then, I don't know, eventually she just like, she kind of fought me on it for a couple of years. And then when I told her I was moving to New York, she was really upset. But then she was super proud, like in the end, when I started to become a little bit more successful. And
I'm sure.
Yeah, so she was proud of me.
Well, I mean, I think any parent would be, right? I mean, when they look at their child and all that you've done and succeeded in your career, like how could she not be proud?
But you're so kind.
Oh, well, no, but really though. But I feel like that's a lot of things. I mean, it was very similar for me as well. I know, like, you know, going into it, parents are like, oh, is it steady? Is it stable? Why not college? We were that generation where like you kind of had to go to college. That was really your only option. Trades were not really highly regarded at that time. But you know, I'm glad that you went for it because you're certainly where you belong, I would say.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
I think you're certainly where you belong.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
And speaking of college,
yes.
So you were pursuing a degree before you decided to do hair, right?
I was, yeah.
So what were you studying?
Well, I did not win the battle with my mom, so I had to go to college. But I went to the Fashion Institute in New York. I was graduating college right around the time that Devil Wears Prada was like the it movie.
Okay.
So fashion journalism
Ooh.
captivated me. I was always very into writing specifically.
Me too.
And I mean, fashion is a creative pursuit, right? So it seemed like the perfect marriage. So I got my degree in communications, and after I graduated, Mom was like, well, you're not working at a fashion magazine, so I guess you're moving home. And I just, you know, got a job managing the front desk at a salon, and I fell in love with this industry. And, you know, we had to have a little bit of a conversation, my mother and I, about me going to beauty school 6 months after I graduated from college. But I always just told her, like, you know, I would figure out a way to bring it all together. So, you know, I'm glad I did it, though. College was a good experience, but I can't imagine not doing this. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So was it the salon that where you were just like, okay, this college thing isn't it, but hair is definitely it?
Yeah, I think, you know, as I was sitting at the salon one night, like it was getting down to the end of the day. We were getting ready to close, and one of the stylists near where I was like positioned in the salon was just like creating the most beautiful finish on like her client's color. And I was just like, you know, looking at how much fun she was having all day, and I was like, it's creative. Every client is a new experience. It's never gonna be boring, and I mean ADD. So I need to constantly be stimulated. Yeah. And having that monotonous like corporate life, I thought was not really something I would gravitate towards. Funny enough, I've ended up here, right?
You're in a corporate role now.
But it's definitely a blend of both industries, right? Or both aspects. So I feel like I'm very lucky in my current position. I have the best of both worlds, but I knew I was gonna be able to be creative, and it's just an industry that I saw from the very beginning had limitless potential. You could work in a salon, you could be a business owner and own your own salon, you could do, you know, Fashion Week and editorial, you could get into education. So there was a lot of avenues, and that was also something that excited me. I wanted something that didn't really have any limits.
Same. I feel exactly the same way. I love that you said that, because I feel like in what we do, there's just so many opportunities to go different directions. Like you know, you can be behind the chair, you can be an educator, you can work in TV and film, you can do editorial work, right? You can be a signature studio artist, right?
Yeah, totally. Design team, hello. But no, yeah, it is like the potential, I think, is what's so great about this industry, for sure. So talking about just like your career kind of taking you different places. So you moved from Florida to New York City to pursue your career and your dreams. Was that like a culture shock? And like, honestly, was it like were you feeling it was the most ridiculous rookie mistake for the first few months? Or did you get there and just instantly know like this was like without a doubt the best choice?
So I ended up moving to New York because my best friend at the time, she was like quitting her job at the college she graduated from to go to FIT to learn fashion. And she was like, you have to come live with me in New York. You're going to love it there. I had never been.
Okay.
And I knew that like I had an ex-boyfriend who moved to New York and wanted me to go because he wanted to go for school. And I was like, I'm not going. It's too cold there. You're out of your mind. Funny enough, now I like live for the cold. But anyway, so I ended up moving. And when I got there, like I didn't really have a job yet. I like went 2 weeks before I was gonna move to find a room to rent, and then happened to find like an assistant job. I knew I was gonna have to like start assisting. So in the very beginning, I feel like I grew up on a farm, and so I was very
I could not picture that.
right? It was a hobby farm, so it was definitely not like your normal kind of
Okay.
farm. And by hobby farm, I mean like my mom was a wildlife rehabilitator, and so we rehabilitated injured wildlife that came into the animal hospital that she worked at, and then would like put them back out into the wild. So instead of like having livestock that we used to like survive off of, we like helped animals, we helped save animals and put them back out. And so then she was a dog breeder as well, so we had like a bunch of cats and dogs running around, and I've had some really strange pets.
That sounds so cool.
It was very cool.
And super unique. Good for your mom too
Yeah.
for doing that.
It was
Like,
awesome.
amazing.
But wait, so I was talking about this why?
Yeah, New York.
Oh yeah. So I had like a really strong work ethic from growing up on a farm.
Sure.
So I had to like get up early before all the other kids were awake and do my chores before, and my mom was already at work. So anyway, very self-made, self-starter
Okay.
from being a kid. And so moving to New York just felt natural. Like it didn't feel like a rookie mistake moving there at all. In fact, I had some like other coworkers in the salon that I was at that were, I think, projecting their own insecurities about moving to New York onto me, and they were just like, "It's gonna be really hard. You're like, you've already been doing hair for so many years, and now you have to go back and assist, and like, you're gonna make no money, and like the rent there's really expensive." And they were trying to, I feel like, talk me out of it. And I was just like, I have that type of personality though. When you tell me something like that, I'm like, oh, watch, I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna show you. And so I had that fire already in me.
Okay.
And I got there, and I worked 7 days a week. I worked as an assistant in a salon 5 days a week. And then so that was Tuesday through Saturday. And then Sundays, I worked at a Polish dive bar in Brooklyn during the day shift. And then on Mondays, I would bring models into the salon to like work to like get through my assisting program so I could get out on the floor. And then like a year later, I was on the floor.
That's amazing. I mean, well, so first of all, knowing you and just growing up in the New York metro area, when I first met you, I thought you were definitely like a New York born and bred like girl for sure, because the city just genuinely fits you, honestly, and you fit it. And I would say I can totally relate to that. Like the dumbest thing you could do is tell me not to do something or that I can't do something, because revenge is the best motivator.
Totally.
Or not revenge, but like, you know, the satisfaction of proving somebody wrong, I should
Definitely.
say, right? Like, so I can relate to that definitely.
I'm definitely somebody who falls for like reverse psychology all the time. Like if you tell me, like honestly, if you want me to do something, the way to get me to do it is to be like, oh, by the way, you can't do that. I don't believe you could do that. And I'll be like, wait a second. And it could just be like,
Watch
wash
me.
your dishes or something. And I'll be like, I'm gonna do the best damn dishwash you've ever seen in your life.
Oh, so your mother totally like reverse psychologied you throughout all of your
No,
adolescence.
honestly, I wish she just like had the sense to do that. No.
Well, now I know how to work with London a little bit more.
Exactly.
Very cool.
Awesome, yeah. Okay, so Wella, as we know,
Yes.
is celebrating the 75 years in North America.
Huge.
Woo! Okay, and you are a part of that legacy.
Oh, yes. I'm honored to be a part of it. Yeah.
So becoming a Wella signature artist is like a huge milestone for you, right?
It was definitely.
All right, but what I want to know is, coming from being a BE, especially one in the Northeast, and then coming all the way across the country, and like I know that we had been in the studio before for trainings, but how did it feel walking into the studio when you were coming in as a Wella signature studio artist for the first time?
Oh God, surreal is probably one of the only ways I could describe walking into the Wella studio as a signature artist for the first time. I mean, like just walking in through those front doors and looking at the monitor and the gorgeous staircase, the beautiful like artistic ceiling, I was just kind of like, for lack of a better term, like, holy shit, how did I get here? And kind of like, is this really happening? But it was one of the biggest and best moments of my life, and it's definitely one that's kind of ingrained in my memory for sure. And it's just an honor to be working here, because I think it's not just a company that really puts the professional first, but this space, the studio, really is designed to be a place where people come to be motivated, to be inspired, and to learn. And Wella has given me that so much as a customer long before I became an employee. So now being able to have the opportunity to do that with other people, or to be that experience that other people have, is honestly so rewarding. But surreal is probably the only way to sum it up in one word.
I love that. I love that word, surreal. It's one of my favorite words. But also, can I just say how intensely proud of you I am.
Oh, thank you.
We started at the same time.
Totally.
Yeah, we started at the same time, both as brand educators for Wella, and we started at the bottom of the food chain essentially, and we just we're super passionate and still are.
Totally.
But I think it's really cool how far we've both grown and as artists, and and how we've kind of done it in different directions, but still it's been upward growth,
Totally, 100%. So kind of throwing that back to you, what was it like coming in for your Wella design team audition and that whole experience?
I love that question because, so I had taken a year hiatus to go work for another company, and that was a huge learning opportunity for me for sure. And I feel so when I
call it research.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, market research, of course. I love that. So when I first came back into the Wella studio, I hadn't been in since the pandemic had started.
Sure.
And because I think we had a virtual training during the pandemic, and then I took a year off, and then I finally came back in, and so it had been a couple of years. And so when I first walked through those doors, after working somewhere where it didn't feel like home to me, walking through those doors, my first thought was, I'm home. And it felt like I was being back at Wella was I'm actually with a family of other artists, and it was just so welcoming. And I'm actually getting chills thinking about it right now. It was
I love that.
It was just okay, this is where I should have never left. Actually I shouldn't say I should have never, because I learned so much, and I think it actually elevated me as an artist for a little bit. But I was if I ever had any doubt, that's gone now. This is exactly where I need to be.
Amazing. Well, I couldn't agree more. And I'm so proud of you.
Oh,
honestly,
thank you.
You belong on our design team. It is such a dynamic team of creative and talented people. And I mean, chief among them.
Oh, stop.
So,
You're creative and talented as well.
Oh, well, thank you. So kind of piggybacking on that, you say a lot that you're big on pushing past fear. So what's a time that you took a total risk behind the chair, and what did it really teach you?
Okay, so I feel especially in the beginning of my career, I took a lot of color risks sometimes, I remember my very first job was at Regis Salons. After beauty school, I went to work right behind the chair for Regis, and there was a girl who came in one day, and she was a young student who clearly had been coloring her own hair at home. And some of it was it was a crazy texture of hair, and it was different textures and different curl patterns, and some of it was bleached and some of it wasn't, and then some of it was green and some of it wasn't. And she came in and she basically wanted something fun and creative, and was you can do basically whatever you want to do. I just want something fun and creative. And I had just taken my very first Wella professionals training through Regis, through their technical specialist at the time, and it was on color blocking. And so, I know we just had color blocking. It's so funny how it comes back around.
Full circle.
Yeah, and so I was I did this technique where I did a triangle on top and split it into 3 different colors, and I just went for it, and I did a brunette, a blonde, and a red, and all these sections, and then balanced everything on the bottom. And I don't know, I just look at it as almost I guess how maybe math people, or I don't know, people who like word problems, or I don't know, it's a puzzle. I had to solve a puzzle.
Yeah.
Breaking it down piece by piece. So I don't know if that answers your question, but that was one kind of memory I have.
Definitely answers the question.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah. Thank you for that question then.
Did we all hear the question?
Inside joke. Inside joke.
Okay, so you've dedicated so much time to educating others. What's the biggest surprise you've had as a teacher, and is there something you've learned about your own craft from helping others grow?
Oh, that's a great question. I think something I've learned as an educator is that, one, any good educator never stops learning. I feel like, the minute you think you know it all or have learned it all, you're kind of dooming yourself. Yep. But I think honestly, just being open to learning from the people that we have in our seminars, because without a doubt, somebody teaches me something during every seminar. I'm sure you can relate,
Absolutely.
right? And vice versa. We can only hope to impart that knowledge on them. That's definitely the goal. But I think just being open, I think, is essential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more with that.
Love it.
For sure. I also definitely feel like we have to continuously keep learning. In fact, when I teach seminars out in the field, I try to make it a point to let people know, one, it's a safe space, so don't be afraid to ask questions, but two, if you feel like you have something to add, I want to hear it.
Yes.
I'm here to also, I think we should all be sharing our stories so that we can all learn from each other, because we've all gone through so many different things within the industry and had different experience levels, and it's just, I don't know, and just because I'm teaching you to do this one way doesn't mean that there's multiple different ways to do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
You got to have an open mind,
Totally.
without a doubt.
Love it.
Love that.
I love that.
So Wella is celebrating 75 years in North America, a legacy that's been built on innovation, creativity, creating a community, which we're both lucky enough to say we're a part of, right? We all know it's the pros that continue to push the industry forward. What's one way you felt like you've left your mark on the brand as well as the industry through your work?
Oh my gosh, what a good question. Okay, so I think part of the main inspiration for what I continue to do as an artist is to inspire other people, because I just know how amazing it's felt to be inspired by other artists, and so I just want to share that back with people. So I think, honestly, competing has been huge for me. So doing North American Trend Vision Awards, and then when it was Beauty and Vision Awards, and now back to North American Trend Vision Awards, shameless plug there. I feel like that's been a huge thing, because I have this one memory of the very first time I ever competed. It was the last North American Trend Vision before we switched, and I had somebody reach out to me from Russia on Instagram, and they had taken a model very similar to mine and recreated my entire look on the model and sent me the photos and was like, and she was so excited to show with me that I inspired her so much that she wanted to create the same look. And I thought that was just so impactful and so amazing. And because I definitely am somebody who lives by the saying of imitation is the highest form of flattery.
100%.
If somebody copies my style, I'm like, yes, queen, yes.
Yeah.
So I'm all here for it.
Yes, just do me justice.
Right. I'm
Yeah.
or do it better.
Yes.
So that was really cool. So through competing.
Love that. I mean, and you are so good at it. The swatch book headpiece that you made will live in infamy in my mind as one of the coolest things
Yes.
I have seen in a competition in a long time.
Thank you.
So
I think it was quite weird, but I also loved it too.
That's
that was
what
kind of
made it so great.
That was the point.
Yeah, totally. It's an honor to think I've left my mark on Wella in any way, because it is so iconic. But
Right.
I mean, this industry is amazing, and I think there were so many moments throughout the earlier parts of my career where maybe I felt like I was just never going to be good enough at this, or I was never going to get that skill. I would never, achieve that milestone. And through education and what I do for Wella here at the Wella Studio, right? I think, being able to motivate people past those moments, because I think we all have that imposter syndrome at some point in our career or something, right? That maybe makes us wonder if we're good enough. If I am able to help people see their potential in any way, that's hopefully how I'm leaving a mark, for sure.
I love that. Yeah, Stevie and I were just talking about imposter syndrome last night. It's so funny you said that.
We all suffer from it. I think
We
it's
really
it's an industry pandemic.
I think it's an artist thing in general. No matter what medium you work with, whether it's hair, whether it's painting, acting, performing, it's like a whole thing. But anyway, thank you for sharing that. I love that.
Well, great question. Thank you for asking.
Okay, so I have two more important questions for you here.
Okay.
Let's see. So you and Eric work together a lot, and you guys clearly have a great dynamic. What's the funniest inside joke or most memorable moment that you two have shared at the Wella Studio?
I am, wow. I am very lucky to work with Eric. From even before I came on full time, when I was still working as a contractor, I had the pleasure of working with him a lot, especially during the pandemic. We taught together online. So, coming into my role, Eric was already a bit of a friend and a mentor. And then, in becoming a coworker, he really was, I think, instrumental in my, adjusting and acclimating to my role. And now he's actually my boss. So I get to continue learning from him every day, which is a total privilege because he is super talented and incredibly smart. As far as our dynamic outside of that, I'm gonna keep the inside jokes inside.
I love that.
But what I will say is we're both we're very big movie people, so things will happen randomly throughout a day, and one of us will just look at the other one and spout off a movie line or a quote from a movie that is completely relevant at the moment, and we both just crack up. It's our own little inside joke. If you haven't seen the movie, people are like, what are they laughing at? But I think, it's just that camaraderie and that kind of friendship that we've been able to create and maintain in our work life that's, helped us.
Has that camaraderie influenced the creativity in your work?
Ooh, well, to your point, imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, right? So I find I've been inspired by his actual work in many different instances. But I think too, it's just the synergy that we bring to, the work that we do. If we're teaching a seminar together, that partnership really, hopefully, shines through in just the way that we deliver, the way we bounce back and forth off of one another, and really support one another during those moments, I think is kind of where it comes to light the most. Okay. Yeah. You've traveled and you've educated all over, so let's dream big. If you could do hair anywhere, work on any project, where would you go? What would the project be? And is there one essential thing you would need to have with you?
I mean, it would be Malta for, destination. No, hint.
Great choice.
No, but really, there's just so much of the world I haven't seen, to be honest. I feel like I have never been to Europe. I've never been to Canada. There's so many places I would go. It's really, really hard to pinpoint one. So
Okay.
honestly, anywhere I feel iconic in Europe would be a starting point, whether it's London or Paris or
how
Berlin or London, how appropriate, London, right? So honestly, any show there would be incredible. And then what is one thing I would have to have with me?
Yeah. Tool, product, what's the thing you can't do the job without?
Wella color, hello.
The whole portfolio.
The whole portfolio.
I would agree.
And one big luggage.
Yeah, just load up a trunk with a little bit of everything.
All of it.
That's fair.
Or my GHD tools.
I would agree with that. You can't, you need a little GHD as well, without a
Absolutely.
doubt.
Cool, great question.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Let's see. Are there any emerging hair trends you're particularly excited about right now?
Ooh. Well, I would say the trend of just color going warmer is something I am so excited about. I feel like as an industry, I'm living for the coolness of your hair, don't worry. But I think as an industry, stylists, we've been plagued by the client who wants to be as pale, as ashy as humanly possible. It's not a good look for everyone. It's not always easily attainable for everyone. So I think seeing the industry kind of shift into a space where warmer tones and warmer color palettes are really being pushed to the forefront and more broadly accepted and desired, I think is huge. Versatility is key. Color suitability is super important. So I think just seeing that representation of warmer tones coming through is something I'm very excited about.
Oh, I love that. Is that also what inspired you to say you want to wear more gold?
Yes, that too. That and living in Southern California, I've got a little bit of a better tan now, so gold just will look a little bit better with my complexion.
I love that.
Thanks,
Love
yeah.
that. Something interesting I just learned about you was that you are a plant person and you have 18 plants.
I do.
Okay, so I also recently did not know that I had 18 plants, but after reading that about you, I counted mine in my head and I was like, I also have 18 plants.
Okay.
So now what I want to know is, because we all have favorites, right? Oh, do you have favorites and do they have names?
I guess no parent should have a favorite, but I feel like if you're gonna have favoritism in your family, your plant family is probably the place to have it. They don't all have names. I have a white knight philodendron, so has white variegation, green plant. It's beautiful. That is my baby. Its name is Phil, short for philodendron. But that is the only one I have named. Funny enough, though, I still say it's a white knight philodendron. It is actually not. I thought it was. It's a white princess philodendron.
Of course it is.
And I learned that, yeah, right? And I learned that just last week when it popped out a new leaf and it had pink all over it. And I literally had to go to the nursery where I got it from, and I was like, okay, like, is it getting too much light? Am I hurting my baby? And they were like, no, this is the kind of plant it is. And it's very happy if it's putting out a pink leaf. So Phil, whether princess or knight, is very happy and definitely my favorite.
That's awesome.
But prior to getting these plants in the last 2 or 3 years being here in California, I could not keep a cactus alive back home. So the fact that I have not only curated the plants that I have and kept them alive, that's the big accomplishment.
Okay, but are you still excited about keeping them alive as you were when you first got them?
Yes, every day I walk out and I'm like, oh, we're all still here, present and accounted for.
Okay, you're a better plant parent than me because mine was totally a hyperfixation that turned into
paranoia?
Not paranoia. I just stopped myself from using the F-bomb, but damn it, now I have to keep these plants alive.
Oh, yeah. No, it's become a lot more enjoyable and routine. I've acclimated to parent life.
Oh, that's good.
Yes.
That's good.
What is it about being a hairdresser that makes us good plant parents? I mean, we both have 18 plants.
Okay, so I'm gonna say we get inspired by nature. One, it gives us fresh oxygen when we come home. And two, we get inspired by the shapes and the colors. And I think also being hairdressers, we are nurturers by nature. We're nurturing our clients, we're caretaking in a way, and we're servicing people. And so I think it almost is just an extension of bringing our work home sometimes. We're nurturing and caretaking for something that's colorful and beautiful.
You stole my answers, but no, I would completely agree, right? We definitely, we're caretakers in a lot of ways all day in the salon. We're, addressing people's needs, whatever they are. So coming home and doing that for plants is probably easier than what we do during the day.
Oh, it's so easy.
They don't have stories that you have to yes, sure,
okay,
all the way through.
I heard something very interesting lately, recently about plants, and this is really cool, a fun fact. Plants can actually sense, I don't know if it's through, they don't have ears or whatever, but they somehow can sense, I don't know if it's an energy thing or whatever it is, but somehow they know when you're nearby. They know when you're almost 15 feet, I think, away from them. And so whenever you go out of town or go away, they actually end up, they know that their caretaker is gone. And somehow, I'm not getting the science part of this right, but when you get within 15 feet of them, they will perk up a little bit because they know that their caretaker has come back. Somehow, I don't know.
Okay.
I read this.
Well, now I'm gonna have to
You have to Google it.
Pay close attention when I approach my plants.
That too, but maybe Google it too, because
Do I have to fact check you right now?
Yes, fact check me, please.
I will.
So for Wella's 75th birthday, let's pretend that Wella is somebody that we're throwing a party for, right?
Okay.
How would you describe, if Wella were a person, how would you describe this person for their birthday?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Well, my dear friend Wella, is always inspiring, that's for sure. I think that's a key attribute of Wella. Reliable and dependable, one of those friends that is gonna be there in a pinch.
Yeah.
In one way or another.
I can agree with that.
Wella is always there. So I would say reliable, inspiring, and I feel like I need one more word. I don't know, do you have one?
I
to
do.
add? What is it?
Just it's not, I don't necessarily, it's a word, but I feel like Wella is that friend that's constantly fostering education.
Helping you grow.
Yeah, helping you grow.
Supportive
Yeah.
of your growth, your dreams. Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
We all want that of a friend.
Very supportive.
Okay, I love that.
Very
Supportive.
Yeah.
Okay, supportive, inspiring, and reliable.
And colorful.
Very. Just like you. My other close Wella friend.
Oh, thanks.
The truth.